BookCon 2018.
Thank you.
So if you don't think you're a poetry person, read this because you are. And if you're not a person who turns to the introduction and starts there when you open up a book, I really encourage you to read this one because there's a lot there, and it's, you know, if you're a little nervous about the poetry, it's prose, so you can warm up a little bit.
Exactly.
But in it, Nico, you talk about the fact that you are very raw and vulnerable in this collection, and you are okay with the fact that that might leave you open to making some mistakes because you are always a work in progress.
Yeah, I think we all are, right? I think that every day we as human beings are always working on something, whether it be something huge or something really minute, right? But this book, you know, outside of writing this book, I just try to be this like physical manifestation of process and journey. It's not about the destination. And even so much with this book, like it wasn't about the end result of the book, it was about the process of putting it all together and being able to look at it after the fact and picking it apart, you know, for the good and for the not as good.
So you also write in the introduction that you wrote this in a really intense 45-day journaling session, basically.
Yes.
Yeah, can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, I wrote this whole book in 45 days. I mapped out the entirety of the book. I started from the first section, which was body, and then I moved through the earth section, and then through the universe section, and I mapped out each chapter, and then I plugged in from beginning to the end. And I thought I was going to jump around throughout each chapter when I was writing the book, but when I started off, it just made the most sense to start from the beginning and move my way through it. And I was writing 5 to 7 pieces a day for 45 days here in New York, and then I was in Peru for 2.5 weeks, half of that in Lima, and then half of that in the Amazon with some shamans. And this is what you get.
So what kind of editing went into this once you had all of these at the end of the 45 days?
Yeah, it's always so interesting editing poetry, right? I mean, I did some of my own editing. My editor did some of their own editing, absolutely. And but I even look at this book today and I see parts of it that I'm like, A, that I don't even recognize, and B, that I would shift given my new education of like where I am today in terms of pronouns and just different things in the book. Like, but I think that's so beautiful, right? That this very much so represents a piece of time that existed when I put this together, but in essence is like timeless, right?
Yeah. And so this is something that I know I'm going to have on my shelf and I'm going to refer back to, and it's going to be something that I go to when I need a little bit of guidance or a laugh, because some of it is funny.
There's some funny shit in here.
There's humor in here too. There is really, really great mundane, kind of pedestrian, everyday observations. But then there's also hugely profound moments here, and there's humor. And I think that also speaks to the general theme that all of it is you. There's no highbrow, lowbrow binary here.
Right.
You really hit all of these different topics.
Yeah, I mean, in essence, the through line message of this entire book is to celebrate the oneness, this divine frequency of love that runs between every single one of us, no matter where we're from, who we are, how we identify, how we express ourselves, or what we're doing with our lives. And that singularity to me is so magical. And when when I set out to write this book and I started writing it all in second person, I discovered this mantra, all of it is you, in the process, and it's one that just runs through my mind all day, every day, and all my friends and lovers and family. This is a great story. My stepdad, who's like an intense Republican, gun-toting dude, calls me when the Yanni Laurel thing was happening, and he calls me and he goes, "Nico, I got to talk to you about something." I was like, "Yeah, what's going on?" "Yanni and Laurel." I was like, yeah, what about it?" He goes, "Don't they realize that all of it is you? That it's both? Like, why does it have to be one or the other? It can be everything all at the same time." And it was one of those moments for me that was like, holy shit, like, if he gets it, imagine, like, who else can get it, right? And it was just so incredible for me. And
he had that kind of revelation with this very pop culture meme thing.
Yeah, he was like, "You gotta put a meme up right now." But they press play and they hear, "All of it is you, all of it is you." I love you, Dad. That's amazing.
So how has your family reacted to this stage of your career now?
Oh, well. That is a loaded question. You know, it's no secret that I've been super outspoken with my own odyssey of sorts, right? And I come from a family that is super Italian, and we were taught to like not air our laundry to anyone. Our family is our friends. No one in my family really has like a ton of friends, right? And I'm out here screaming on the top of roofs like who I am and what I represent and what my friends represent and where I would like to see the world go. So it's definitely different for my family, but for the most part, everyone's been really supportive. For the most part.
Well, it's interesting because with a lot of the poems in here, you get very specific.
Yeah.
Like with your poem about family.
Yeah.
And then you also get really general and universal, and even within the same poem, bouncing between those, which again illustrates that all of it is you. So I was wondering if there was any kind of... Is there something with the family section now, like with that, was that one of the more difficult?
It's funny, I was actually home in Chicago with my family for Thanksgiving when I was writing a lot of the family stuff. And you know, I mean, this is all my family on my arm. Like I wear my programming, my familial programming literally on my sleeve, and it's just so important to me. And so, yeah, that was definitely one of the most emotional sections to work through.
Well, I hope that that's something that your family can appreciate being memorialized a little bit.
I mean,
there, because
some of them have no idea what is in this book at all. They'll like read a page and be like, "What the did he just say?" It doesn't make any sense. But
it's beautiful that you wrote a poem about family that is about your specific family, but also all of us too.
Yeah, totally.
That's an amazing thing to be a part of.
Yeah, I mean, this book has taught me that we are all the gods of our own universes, right? And in one way or another, nothing exists without you. And that you have the power to be the mirror of everything that exists. And I don't know, it's just like every day that hits me in a different way, and I'm just so amazed by it. I mean, I set out to create a body of work that I could always be inspired by, no matter what. And I still have so much more to learn from this book than I even already have, which is difficult to wrap your head around, but magical.
So you've got this philosophy, this way of approaching the world where you just want to be the most curious, generous version of yourself that you possibly can be, right?
Well, for yourself first,
for
right?
yourself first.
No, but I think it's the entire spectrum of emotion and and ability, right? That it doesn't have to be one thing forever. That
Yeah.
that it can constantly shift and work itself out, no matter what.
That's really freeing, but it's also a lot to live up to if you think about your potential all the time.
It's limitless. It's infinite, right?
Yeah.
And that it's all okay, you know? Tennessee Williams, nothing human disgusts me, right? And it's like, that's really hitting me hard these days with everything going on in the world.
And speaking of which, your activism is woven throughout this book. I love the poem Hair.
Yeah, right? Don't touch anyone.
Yeah, don't have to touch anybody
Yeah.
at the end. Or technology, you talk about net neutrality.
Yeah.
So I was wondering if that was something that you always intended to be very specific about with certain policies, or...
You know, I mean, I think in the area of social justice, we tend to get caught up in the language of a movement rather than the cause and effect as human beings. And I think that social justice is so much more than being on the street picketing. As important as that is, it's about living unapologetically yourselves all of the time, no matter what. And it's also the ability to like have a sense of humility with everything that's going on in the world. And I think that exists in these pages, you know?
Well, also with the fact that you've got something like the poem Armpit in the same volume as a poem about stars,
Yeah.
that you're placing them on the same level because there aren't really any levels.
Well, it's breaking the binary. It's breaking division. It's like, it's all of it, no matter what it is in essence part of who you are and why you're here. And it's no secret that the world, and especially this country, is so massively divided right now. And I think that, like, if we take a second and recognize that oneness, that singularity, it will bring us all together. Like, that is the hope. That's the hope.
Well,
Thank you.
I was wondering, because it's so hot outside today, and we technically have like 2.5 more weeks left of spring.
I mean, it just started like last week, right?
Right, and it already feels like it's the middle of summer. But I was wondering if you could read the poem Spring for us.
Yeah, this is one of my favorite ones, actually. Spring. As you breathe this new life, I promise to do the same. Awakening the you in my step, as sprung chrysanthemum garland fields yield growth. Once again reborn, chance to dance in poppies crop-topped. Stop to smell the roses, begin again. Poses for photos as the grass turns green. The bird songs sing. The bees pollinate, floral beds clean. Aurora sheen, seen skin glisten as rain showered. Cry tears joyed as this resurrection is always miracled, no matter third day. Every day is a good one once you've arrived. I am not your chicken, yet still find joy in not hunting, rather now hiding your coin and cash-filled eggs, as that's how things are done in my family, Italian. Pass over the joys full of you, for the fourth season was the harsh one, and you reminding me that all will too soon bloom again. Revel in this revivified awakening. You know, and there's a bunch of photography in this book too.
I was just going to ask about that.
As this picture of myself is staring at me reading this poem.
Can I hold that up for you?
Yeah. I did all the photography in 48 hours in this book and edited
way.
and I edited all of it on my phone, actually. Yeah.
Wow. And how did you decide which poems would get a photograph?
Honestly, I put all of the titles of the poems in a hat and picked them.
And that's where the little pieces of paper
Exactly.
in the photographs come
yeah.
from?
I've never said that out loud. Yeah, that's real.
That's really great.
Thanks.
So you cover all of the seasons here in this section of the book, and what was it like writing that when it wasn't necessarily the one you were experiencing?
Well, I do a lot of channel writing, and so I kind of black out for a little bit, and whatever comes out is what it is. And sometimes it's me writing, sometimes it's a lot more people writing, and I think that was a huge part in me, channeling different seasons while it being negative 10 degrees in New York City, But then also I was in Peru and it was like 110 degrees days later, so really it's all the same. All of it is you.
And, with the seasons, you've got that cyclical nature of them that you hit upon too.
I'm reminded of the cycle that God blows. It goes 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah. There's a rhythm in all of it, right?
And something else that I really enjoyed from this collection is the way that you draw attention to words in our just everyday idioms when you address them, like, I've got a you in my step with spring. And I love the bones one. I've got a you to pick with you.
I got a you to pick with you. Yeah. Idioms are so silly, right? And to plug you into common language is...
It stops you and actually makes you aware of what you're saying or reading.
I mean, one of my favorite things to do with this book is to open it to a random page and not actually look at the title, to read it as if it was talking about you specifically and not anything to do with the title, and see what comes in from that. You know what I mean?
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's a really great, creative, meditative exercise.
Yeah, and I'm surprised by it still every day when I pick up this book.
Yeah?
Yeah.
That's fantastic.
Thanks.
Now, we thought we might do a little bit of a fun thing along those lines, and we've got poems on pages 6 through 241.
6 through 241. So in the intro, I talk about how I recommend reading this book, whether it's beginning to end to beginning, or just picking a random page. And I thought it would be fun today if anyone in the audience wanted to ask the universe a question, and then pick a number 6 through 241, and see what they have in store for you.
What does the book have to tell you? So do
like
we
a tarot reading of sorts. You know?
Do we have a brave volunteer who'd like to put their question out in the universe? Or even a nervous volunteer. Nerves are good. We like nerves.
He's coming around with a microphone. So if we could get a question and a page number. It doesn't have to be super specific, the question.
So I guess I'll generalize it.
Yeah.
So a question about career and love.
Career and love.
Yep. But page number 44.
44?
Yep.
Ooh, 44. That's an angel number.
I know.
Interesting. This is a very interesting one. This is a poem about my belly button, actually. It's called Navel. I have one spot on my body that is always off limits. Belly buttoned, not for pressing. I'm sure there's a deeper energy at work to learn, but for now you'll keep collecting lint, and I'll do my best to keep you safe, you sensitive loner, you. Dum dum dum. So what does that mean exactly? Well, are you a little cautious with your love and career right now? Mm-hmm. And protective of it?
Definitely.
All right, well, this line in here, I'm sure there's a deeper energy at work. I think you have to go in and start looking at it in different ways than you already have been.
I agree.
And take that lint out. You know what I mean? You got to start taking that lint out
Cleanse the negativity.
and cleaning it up. Yes.
I love
Who's next?
We got one.
Yes.
What would be next in store for me?
What's next in store for you?
111.
111, another angel number. Come on now. Relationship. Cosmic law ruled platinum. They will treat others the exact way they trick and treat themselves. Fall in love with yourself to fall in love with them, or at least to know if they're worth it. You gotta fall in love with yourself. That's what's next. You gotta fall in love with yourself. You gotta fall in love with yourself. You gotta fall in love with yourself. Got it? Who's next? I've never done this before, and this is amazing. I'm gonna stand up. That's how amazing it is.
I think life path in general in 31.
31, that's a good number. Life path in general.
31.
Stomach.
Great.
Relationship toxic with appearance external. Hair like paternal. Why it is I feed off skin tight, slick to muscle, bone seen packed 8, never maybe 5.5 though, photoshopped better. Dysmorphic though, at least I know it. Trying to love you always better, even if I can't find ways to show it. However, internally, the difference between sick and housing butterflies, monarchs is lined fine. Sick to my stomach from the butter fights, fly butter flights, where caterpillars grew cocooned. Are you hungry, loud, or just craving attention? Are you the real route to man's heart and woman's too? I always liked you better empty anyway. More room for the social butterflies to take wing.
I love it.
Well, that's a layered one, right?
Yeah.
We're gonna just let that one stew for a second,
Okay.
because I could really go off. I want one more. Digest. Can we do one more? Yeah, one more. Right here. I'm gonna be thinking about that one.
Hi. I actually have a question. You mentioned that your dad was more like of the conservative type. I deal a lot with that with my father. What's that like? I mean, you must have a lot of differences in ideas and.
Yeah, I mean, he's one of my best friends too, and I think that so much of life is about creating space for each other, right? And even that we represent opposite ends of the spectrum, whether it's left, right, you know, it's gay, straight, cis, trans, whatever, like whatever spectrum, the fact that it's a father-son relationship, and that can far extend way past anything familial, but to respect each other's opinions in a way that you can communicate without flailing arms and fighting and kicking and screaming. Even if that happens, it's okay, it's forgiven, because we see each other and love each other no matter what. And I think that that is really important. It's about creating safe space for people, even if we don't agree.
Oh, that's great. Thank you. Another number, right? 124.
124. So is this specifically about your father? Air. Air. Creative flow to still, even still, you're active, swishing through time and space. Intangible, but wholly am I able to feel you. To breathe you is to be alive. Gasp. Run with your winds, not against it. Flags, flip, flap, swing, patriot, backstroke in your humid tropical heat stroke. Pace stepped brisk, New York City in February, smacked in face by your brisker maternal open fist. Backhand wake up call, 5 more minutes, Mom. The way you carry Chicago 4th of July fireflies and your ability to propel the smell of seasoned hot dogs to nose blows my mind. Pickle on the side. No mustard gas, please. The way you carry airplanes the same way through airways, battleships, waterways, effortlessly. Fly is to take off and land, and to float is to withstand the beginning or the end. I dream of flying. But if I'm already the vehicle traveling at speeds of sound, best friended by the birds and the bees, how much farther do I have to go, you ask? The speed of light. All I want to do is float in you, with you. I just want to read one more piece, unless anyone has any other questions. Yes. I mean, I could do this all day, so.
You can do it for 2 more minutes.
2 more minutes? That's what we got?
I was wondering if you have any tips for the aftermath of coming out and like coping with it, because I kind of like just came out 2 days ago.
How you feeling? Come on. That's beautiful.
So like I've been trying to like use different name and pronouns, but I don't really know how to like start.
Say that last part one more time.
I'm trying to use like a different name and pronoun, but I don't really know how to like start and like get people to actually use them.
Well, first and foremost, you have to start using it yourself and believing in it, right? And seeing yourself in it and like loving yourself in it. And the second you start to recognize it for yourself, other people will see it in you. Like that always has to come first. Okay? Can I come give you a hug?
All of it is you.
Wait, this is actually the perfect piece to read after that. Okay? This is UFO.
Oh my gosh, I love that one. It's not what you're expecting.
Yeah. Unidentified flying object, okay? We are all unidentified flying objects, all of us. My question is this. Unidentified by who? Unestablished by the establishment, unindicated by which, unrecognizable by the one in question, though sightings, saucers fly torched in sky, date back as far as we can remember, and had ways ancient etched to stone, pennant though still undistinguished, unidentified flying object. All that matters to me is how you identify, not how I identify you, or why I even feel needed to. You are timeless in not this, not that, beyond definition. That was for you.
Okay, everybody, this was an amazing time that we spent together. Thank you so much for being here.
I love you. I love you all. Thank you.
Nico will be signing after this, but before he does, I was wondering if you could leave us with this poem as you go off and have an amazing BookCon.
Literature. Time travel. Tangible, real, because of you written. Pick up a book and go somewhere.
Thank you.